Welcome to Faith Unscripted today, where walking by faith is the only way. Trusting God wherever I'm sent. I have to be real, raw, and relevant. It's Faith Unscripted.
You're watching Faith Unscripted, coming to you from the greater Chicago area. Now, here's Pastor Moses.
What's up, Faith Movers Nation? We are so happy to have you be a part of our worship experience today. I am excited about what God has already done in this worship experience and what God is getting ready to do. I pray that you have a spirit of expectation today. How many of you came to service today with a spirit of expectation? Come on, give me some hand claps in the comment sections. Come on, clap those hands. I'm believing God to do great things today. I'm excited about the first message of this new sermon series entitled Conversations at the Cross. We're going to the cross in this series, and as you already know, here at FMC, we have deemed this year to be the year to refocus, and we are refocusing on Christ, cross, and community. And in this series, we're talking about the cross. And I'm telling you, I believe with all of my heart that this series is going to be life-changing. And so even now, if you know someone who's not saved, who's not involved in church, take out your phone right now and text them, tell them to tune in. Or if you're on Facebook, tag somebody right now and tell them to tune in to our new sermon series entitled Conversations at the Cross. Each week, I'm going to literally be in character. This week, Pastor Moses is not preaching. I'm going to be in character, and I'm going to tell you about different people who were actually at the cross of Jesus Christ. And I'm going to give you their perspective and their experience about being at the cross. It's going to be amazing. And first up the bat, we have a person who is referred to biblically as the Centurion. He was a man that was literally at the cross. And today, in message one of this series, we are about to hear his perspective about the cross. Come on, FMC. Let's have a conversation about the cross with the Centurion. Watch this, and I'll be back. God bless you. What's up, FMC? Your pastor told me to come here today to tell you about my personal experience at the cross of Jesus Christ. And yes, I refer to it as the cross of Jesus Christ because from my experience doing crucifixions, mostly it is the cross that conquers the man. But when it came to Jesus, it was a little different because with Jesus, it was the man conquering the cross. So I like to call it the cross of Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, let me hold up and pause a little bit. Let me first introduce myself. How rude of me. My official biblical name is known as the Centurion. I am really a Roman military soldier or officer. I am called a Centurion because my job is to be over at least 100 soldiers. And I'm called a Centurion because the word Centurion comes from the word century, which means 100. Thus you have me, the Centurion. Now let me be clear about who I am. My main assignment as a Centurion is to keep the peace in Rome. I am literally to look out and to find anyone who is a troublemaker, anyone who seeks to start trouble in Rome. And of course, if you know anything about Jesus, he was always someone stirring up good trouble. And this is where me and Jesus intersected at. Because as I was trying to keep the peace in Rome, of course, I encountered this man they call Jesus. Because in my region, it was this Jesus who was always stirring up something. I mean, everywhere he went, there was people following him. He was the talk of town. Even it reached the Roman Empire. And of course, you know, the powers that be, they did not like Jesus because he was getting too much influence. He was getting too much power. The people were calling him king and not the powers that be. I mean, literally, wherever he went, people came by the thousands in order to hear him preach. He healed those who were sick. He fed those who were hungry. Matter of fact, even one of my relatives went to one of his meetings. They went to one of his services. And you know, she told me something that is still hard for me to believe. She said she went to one of Jesus' meetings and he taught the people all day long. And at the end of the teaching, my cousin told me that he fed about 5,000 people with only 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. Now, I don't know about all that, but she said it actually happened. You see, that's what I'm talking about. When it came to Jesus, there were many stories about different miracles that he did. Him walking on water, him raising dead people, and everybody loved this Jesus character, so much so that he became a threat to the people in Rome. And so there was a plan that was advised to really stop this Jesus movement. Because the powers that be could not control him, they had to find a way to stop him. And that's when me and my team came into play. Because we were literally a part of this plan to arrest Jesus and eventually kill him. And it's interesting because we chose the perfect time to do it. We got him during the Passover, that Jewish festival where all the Jews would gather together in Jerusalem. Everybody was talking about it, and we knew that Jesus would be there. And we talked about a plan and how we could arrest him to eventually kill him. I mean, to be honest, if I could tell you the truth, it really was an inside job. Because we got one of his disciples, I believe his name was Judas. We got, Judas to betray him. The plan was that Judas would get in the crowd of his disciples and kiss Jesus. So me and my boys would know who to exactly arrest. It's funny sometimes because, see, you can't always trust everybody on your team. And just because you got a crowd don't mean you always got real company. Sometimes you got to watch the people that are closest to you. It was an inside job, and I'm here to tell you the plan worked perfectly. Judas did his part, and me and my boys, when we noticed who Jesus was, we grabbed him and we arrested him in order to take him to a so-called trial so that we could eventually do away with him. And I must admit that at first, when we arrested Jesus as a Roman soldier, as a centurion, I was so proud. Because understand, I had been radicalized by Rome, and they had taught me that anybody that come against the Roman Empire, anybody that don't keep the peace, anybody that don't follow the rules of Rome, that they ought to be demolished, that they ought to be destroyed. And I was proud as a Roman soldier to be able to arrest Jesus and to put him to trial. I was proud of it, y'all. I was radicalized. My mind was conceived. I thought I was being patriotic in order to arrest Jesus. And so I never will forget, man, I got him and we took him to the so-called trial. And of course, you know, they said that he was guilty. And the sentence was death by capital punishment. Death by crucifixion. That's when me and my boys came in, because it was my job to be the leader over the crucifixion of Jesus. And I tell you, man, I was so proud when we finally got him and we put the cross on his back and we made him march up Golgotha Hill, and to be able to take the nails and to nail it in his hands, to be able to do it for Rome. It was one of my proudest moments. But I tell you, something happened when we eventually put him on that cross. That's literally when everything changed. I don't know if you know it or not, but everything changes at the cross. And that's what happened to me, because when I experienced Jesus on the cross, there were certain things that happened that literally made a believer out of me. And that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to tell you about my experience and how seeing Jesus on that cross changed my life and took me from a doubter to a believer. And please understand, the first thing I want to tell you about my experience at Jesus on the cross. Number one, I want you to understand my proximity to the cross. You see, I'm a very unique person because I had a front row seat at perhaps the greatest event in world history. I had a front row seat to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And I'm here to tell you, man, there's something about being close to the cross. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it was almost as if that cross that Jesus Christ was on had supernatural power. Understand, I had crucified thousands of people before, but to be able to crucify Jesus, it was different, because when he was on the cross, it was as if the cross was drawing me into who Jesus really was. And as I sat there and watched him on that cross that day, and as we saw the anguish and the pain on his face, something began to happen to me on the inside, because whether you know it or not, there is power of being close to the cross. It has drawing power to draw you in. I later learned that Jesus said a statement that if I be lifted up, that I would draw all men unto me. That's what happened that day, because as soon as we lifted him on that cross, that cross began to draw me closer to the person of Jesus Christ. And that's why, to all of those who are believers, you've got to learn how to talk about the cross. You got to learn how to think about the cross. You got to learn how to even trust the cross. You got to learn how to tell everybody you know about the cross that Jesus Christ was on, because it was only at the cross of Jesus where there is power for people to be drawn unto him. It was my proximity that drew me closer to Jesus. And can I just encourage these modern day believers, whatever you do, don't get so new school that you forget about the cross. Stay close to the cross. Talk about the cross. Tell the world about the cross, because it is only the message of the cross that will draw people into Jesus Christ. And that's what happened to me. It was the proximity of the cross that drew me to know who Jesus was. But not only do I want to tell you about my proximity to the cross, this is a deep, but I got to also tell you about my pardon because of the cross. Because y'all, when we finally got Jesus on the cross, one of the first things that he said, it blew me away. Do you believe this? When he was on the cross, he uttered the words, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And when he said those words, something on the inside of me broke. Something on the inside of me exploded, because I quickly realized that I was one of the them. I quickly realized that them was really me. And I'm telling you, at that moment when I came to that realization that the man that I put on the cross was literally asking God to pardon me, to forgive me for the wrong that I had done. Now, it's not like I didn't know what I was doing. It was I didn't know who I was doing it to. I didn't know he was the Son of God at the time. And he even said to me, who crucified him, to be forgiven. Oh, it did everything for me.
It was at that moment that my hate began to turn into hope. It was at that moment that my anger turned into anxiousness. It was at that moment that my identity was transforming from a sinner into a saint. If he could ask God to forgive me, the one that crucified me, the one that did him wrong, me, the one that showed him hate, and for him to show me so much love, it was at that moment that I came to the realization, well, maybe I could have been wrong the whole time. Maybe what Rome had taught me about Jesus was not true. Maybe, in me want to be patriotic, that I miss who Jesus really was. Because for someone to forgive like that, it changed my life. He pardoned me even when I did not deserve it. And because of my pardon at that cross that day, I realized not only did he pardon me, but if he can pardon me, the one that put him on the cross, then surely he could pardon anybody that would come to him. Y'all, I want you to understand, at the cross, it was my proximity that drew me into Jesus. It was my pardon from the cross that opened my eyes about him. But here's the last one. It was my promise from the cross that literally changed my life. Because not only did he forgive me and all of my men who had did him wrong, but here's the last thing he did. He forgave somebody else who I knew had no right to be forgiven. Because understand, when we crucified Jesus, we crucified him between two other criminals. And one of the criminals began to have a conversation with Jesus. And he began to tell Jesus how he wanted to change his life and how he wanted to believe in him and to receive him. And at that moment, I heard Jesus tell this crazy, notorious, evil criminal that today, not tomorrow, today, you should be with me in paradise. And when I saw that, I couldn't believe it, because I knew how crazy this criminal was. I knew how bad this man was. I had even met him when he was a little boy. When I first became a Roman soldier, I would go out in the fields and I would play with the kids in the villages, and he was always a bad kid, always getting in trouble. And I pulled him to the side one day and told him that one day I would arrest him, and one day all of his bad actions would catch up with him. But he was hard-headed. He wouldn't listen to me, and he went to live a life of crime. He became one of the most notorious criminals throughout Rome. And finally, just like I told him, I arrested him. And just happened to be, he was to be crucified right beside Jesus. Now, I'm here to tell you now, I don't really think in my heart that Jesus deserved crucifixion. But if anybody did deserve it, it was that criminal that he invited into paradise. And I understood at that moment, if he can make a promise to a thug, if he can let a gangster get into paradise, then that same promise could be afforded to me if I would only believe in him. And I tell you, man, I was about to lift my voice and tell him that I believe in you, Jesus. But all of a sudden, his breathing began to get slower. And I knew what that meant. I knew that he was at his last couple of breaths. And before I could tell him that I wanted to be a believer, he said the word tetelestai in the Greek, which means it is finished. I knew at that moment he was about to go. I was about to lift my voice and tell him, I want to believe, but before I can do it, he looked up in the sky and he yelled, Father, into my hands, into your hands I commit my spirit. And he breathed his last and he died. And it was at that moment, with tears streaming down my eyes, that I looked up in the sky and I said, surely this man was the Son of God. It was at that moment that the cross saved me. When when I got close to it, it drew me in. And because I got close to the cross, it pardoned me from my evil doing. And because I was so close, I received the promise of the cross of future security in paradise, to be with him in heaven forever. And so you ask me, what does the cross mean to me? The cross means everything. I was on my way to hell. I was on my way to a bad place until destiny allowed me to be with Jesus on that day at the cross. And so I tell you, to all those who are believers, stay close to the cross. Keep the cross proximity close to you. And tell everybody about the cross. Because it is only by the cross that it will draw people to Jesus. Appreciate, if you're a sinner, the pardon because of the cross. Like me, even if you've done evil stuff even to Jesus, he'll give you another chance. He'll forgive you. He'll give you a clean slate. And don't forget about the promise from the cross, that when you believe in the cross and the Jesus of the cross, he gives you the promise of paradise, eternal security in him. I'm so happy that I had an encounter with the cross. Here's my question to you, friend. Do you know the cross? Have you gotten close to the cross? Have the cross pardoned your sins? Do you have the promise of the cross? At the cross, where I first saw the light and the burdens of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day. First thing I want to tell you about my experience, number one, I want you to understand the submission of the cross. I want you to understand that because, like I said now, I had been with Jesus for a while. And even before he was crucified on the cross.
Are you tired of being on edge about your child's education, wondering if they're going to slip through the cracks or if they're being challenged to maximize their full potential? Are you in search of a village that can reinforce the Christian values that you teach at home? Does this sound like you or someone you know? Then Faith Movers Academy is the place for you.
My name is Tylen and I'm in first grade. I love this school because I have the best principal in the world and teachers. And I love my classroom because I have all types of colors and all my friends are nice.
Our goal is to shape today's scholars to be tomorrow's leaders through a creative, rigorous, and personalized educational experience. Our learning leaves the book, goes past the walls, and it penetrates the hearts and minds of our scholars. So if this sounds like you, don't wait another minute. Text enroll to 708-329-8823 to register your scholar today. And as always, thank you for joining the movement.
Join us every Sunday virtually at 8 a.m. or 11 a.m. on Facebook Live, live stream, or YouTube for a powerful, impactful word.
Remember now, that's 2 opportunities to get your praise on at 8 a.m. or 11 a.m. every Sunday. Watch us live on Facebook or live stream. Faith Movers Academy wants to be part of your child's educational journey. At FMA, we believe every child is a scholar and every scholar has a divine purpose and gift from God. Birthed out of the vision of our senior pastor, Faith Movers Academy is an innovative, Christ-centered, culturally relevant academic institution that believes in personalized learning. At FMA, we believe in hands-on learning, exploring our world through field trips, and giving each scholar an educational experience tailor-made for their learning style. At FMA, Faith Movers Academy will serve children ages 3 to 4 and offer grades kindergarten through 5th grade. Registration is open. Drop by for a tour or come to one of our many open house opportunities. Support the vision. For more information, go to www.faithmoversacademy.org or call 708-279-1012. Remember, Faith Movers Academy, where we are building faith, developing scholars, and revolutionizing education. Join the movement.
Thank you for watching Faith Unscripted with Pastor Moses. If you're ever in the greater Chicago area, Pastor Moses would like to personally invite you to see him live at Faith Movers Church. Faith Movers Church is located 25 minutes from the city of Chicago at 425 Exchange Street, University Park, Illinois, 60484. You can join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. and on Wednesday at noon and 7:30 p.m. We know this will be a transformational experience. Once again, thank you for watching Faith Unscripted with Pastor Moses. And remember, whatever you do, be a faith mover.